next guest is a principal with Price Waterhouse. He is a nationally recognized authority on IT security and risk management. Here to help us bridge the gap between the skills we teach our students with those that the business world desires, please welcome to the arena, Fred Rica. Welcome, sir.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Have a seat.
Alrighty. So I'm happy about the schedule change, because now I'm not the only thing standing between all these people and cocktails. So thank you for that.
That's a wise man right there. Fred, start off by just telling us a little bit of what you do with Price Waterhouse.
Sure. So I'm a principal at PwC, so it's in a public accounting firm. We're a partnership, and so that means I'm one of about 1,500 owners of the company, which is pretty exciting for me. And really, my job is to go out and make our clients happy. I spend a lot of time helping our clients solve risk management problems. I spend a lot of time hiring and mentoring and coaching our people, and I'm sort of the face of the firm to our clients.
What was your first job, and what did you take away from it?
My first job was awful. It was for this, what I took away from it is the world is full of a-holes. That's what I took away from my first job. I worked for these two maniacs. They were possibly the two greediest people I had ever met. There was a little company, and it was just, it was a terrible, terrible experience. I was a sales guy, and with these two very greedy old men, and yeah, it taught me that the world is full of a-holes. Yeah.
Tell us about the most significant event in your college career, and how did it sort of steer you to your career path?
Yeah, I don't know that there was any specific event, right? It's just my college career was a series of unfortunate events, is really what it was. And I think if I were applying for a job at PwC today, I don't know that they would have hired me. I was just a solid C student my whole college career. But the interesting thing about my college time was my parents, when I told them I wanted to go to college, they said, good luck with that. And so I was sort of one of these self-funded guys. I had to pay my own way, which first of all made me appreciate the time that I was spending, but also made me realize I didn't like being poor, and that by working hard and doing a good job, maybe I could get away from being poor and maybe get to a different level. So I don't know that it was any one thing. I think it was the entire experience of working my way through school.
What are the challenges and rewards of working for one of the big three accounting firms? Big four, sorry.
Yeah. So it's interesting in that I probably have more autonomy than most people have. I can pretty much do what I want to do every day, which is pretty neat. But with that comes a huge amount of responsibility. I am the company, I'm one of the owners of the company, and so at the end of the day, there's no finger to point, it all points back to me. And so I find that aspect of what I do incredibly challenging.
How did you come to join Price Waterhouse?
I was unemployed, right? So I had this friend who was a headhunter, and she said, I got this great job at Price Waterhouse. And I said, I'm not interested in Price Waterhouse. And she said, no, you got to go talk to these guys. They're great, they're great. And really, it was, again, just a series of unfortunate events. I showed up. I talked to 3 people. I interviewed with 3 people that I'm still tremendously close friends with. If I had to name 3 people that had more influence on my career than anybody, it would be the 3 guys that interviewed me that day, and really they really rolled the dice on hiring me. I mean, everything about my background, everything about me said this guy will not succeed at this firm, but they saw something, and then, and 20 years later it worked out.
What's the most common mistake that young people make in an interview?
Oh man, that's a great question. So the thing that makes me crazy is, so we'll talk for a while, and they'll tell me about what they did at college, and they were president of their fraternity, and they ran the mixer, and they'll talk about, I had this job and I studied this, and everybody's got a 4.0 these days, which is just, But what happens is at the end of the interview, I'll say, that's great. I said, do you have any questions for me? No, thanks, you've answered all my questions.
Oh.
If I could give one message to the graduating class, it would be, that is a gift right there. I'm giving you an open mic to ask me anything that you want about me, about my company, about what we do, about how we serve our clients. That's an opportunity you don't get very often. So I would say this, you don't need a lot. You go in with 3 questions, and it doesn't matter. Here's the mistake people make. They think because they asked the question to the guy that interviewed them before me, that I already know that they asked the question and they're going to lose points for asking it twice. I have no idea what that other discussion was like, right? So ask me what I like about my job, ask me what I would change about my job, and ask me something about what it takes to succeed at my company. If you just came in with those 3 questions, you'd probably get the job. That's the biggest mistake. They don't ask a question when we give them the opportunity.
What can we do to better train our college students for the corporate culture and environment?
That's a pretty loaded question, isn't it? I was thinking about this question a lot, and it dawned on me that the reason, I think, NCAA football is so great is because you can go right from the NCAA if you're successful, and you can play in the NFL, right? You can start in the NFL. You can graduate, and you can start in the NFL. And the reason you can do that is because the NCAA knows exactly what the NFL is looking for. So they run the same plays, they run the same offenses, they run the same defenses, and so when you come out of NCAA football, you're ready to play in the NFL. We don't have that connection between higher education and corporate America. Higher education doesn't understand what I need. They don't know the offenses I run, they don't know the defenses I run, and I haven't told you that. And so there is a gigantic disconnect when students show up on day 1 to work at Price Waterhouse Coopers. They've got so much talent and so many skills, but they don't have the right skills. My personal pet peeve is they don't know how to write for business. They know expository writing, they can write a book report, they can write a term paper, but they don't know how to write in business language. They don't know how to speak. They don't know how to get up in front of an audience, whether it's 2 people or 200 people, and make a presentation and be articulate and present a point of view, right, wrong, or otherwise, and defend it. And those 2 things, the ability to write and the ability to speak, articulate a point of view, are so important in any business, but especially in mine. And so I think those are the things that are really lacking. And I think if I were to say that's the offense I run, that's what it is. And that's what I really need people coming into my organization to be able to do well.
Who gave you your first big shot, and would you have done the same?
I would not have hired me when I got first. But I worked for this guy. I'm still friends with him. His name was Jonathan Harris. He was a partner at Price Waterhouse. And I walked into his office for the interview, and this guy, his office was bigger than my apartment. He had a desk that was the size of an aircraft carrier. He had carpets, he had paintings, he had a couch. And I looked around and I said, this is what I want. This is what I want to aspire to. I want an office with a couch in it one day. And I convinced him that I was willing to bust my rear end for the next 15 years to get that office and to get that couch, and he believed me, and he took a chance on me. And I'd like to think that I've done that for some other people. I don't have a couch. We got rid of couches a long time ago. But anyway, I'd like to think I've done that for a few people.
You've made appearances on a variety of television shows. Any interesting stories from any of those?
A couple, yeah. Bill O'Reilly is exactly the same on the air as he is off the air. Take that for what it's worth. Neil Cavuto might be the nicest guy in TV. I'll just tell you a story about Neil. So I thought, all right, I got a teenage daughter, and anybody who's got teenage kids, yeah, you know how hard they are to impress, and I'm thinking, all right, Dad's going to be on TV, it's going to be cool. So I bring her to the studio with me. Now, you know, Neil's on air, right? This is a live show, he's on air, but he gets wind that my daughter is with me. So Neil and I are sitting like this, and in the commercial break, he stands up, he gives me my daughter, come here. The camera's right here. He puts my daughter right behind the camera. He goes, watch your dad. And then he sits back down, and we do the interview, and my daughter just thinks this is the greatest thing. She's behind a TV camera watching her dad on TV, and that has left such an impression with me that I would probably, if Neil Cavuto called me tomorrow and said, I need you to kill somebody, I'd probably kill him.
No one I need get killed, so
no, talk about that all
yeah. Describe a time in your life when you faced a significant challenge. How did you respond?
This interview right here.
Wait till the end.
Yeah, I heard my friend Tony has a gift for me. Now, look, I face challenges what I tell people who work for me is, and the other thing I learned on TV, I'm doing this right now, is don't answer the question they ask, answer the question you know the answer to. Right? So we face challenges every day, and so what I tell my guys is, look, good judgment comes from experience, and experience comes from bad judgment. And what I mean by that is, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to fail. What Jonathan taught me is the real champions, they pick themselves up, they dust themselves off, and they come back the next day, come out swinging, and that's all you can do. I had this client, I'll never forget her. I told this story a couple months ago. Her name was Marilyn Miller. I'll never forget Marilyn. She was a vice president at a very large computer company with 3 letters. And Marilyn was doing this project for Marilyn, and she would just pick up the phone, she would call me, and she would just scream at me. She was a screamer. She'd scream and yell, and you guys suck, and this is wrong, blah, blah, blah. And I couldn't, and I can't scream back at her. She's a client, right? And I said, what am I going to do with this one? What I figured out was Marilyn was very good at hiding behind the phone. But if you showed up in her office, Marilyn would not yell at you. So my office was in New Jersey. Her office was 120 miles in Armonk, New York. If she called me at 9 o'clock in the morning and said, Marilyn, I'm tied up right now, I'll be in your office at 12. I get in my car, I drive 120 miles, I go sit in her office, and that was the only way that we could get through that project. She wouldn't scream at me if we were face to face. So I guess what I learned from all that is sometimes you got to be a little agile, you got to be flexible, you got to be willing to adjust a little bit.
What are 3 skills that anyone who wants to work in corporate America should master?
Yeah, so writing. Now, but clearly the ability to write. Clearly the ability to present and to speak. And the third one, I think coming out of college and coming into a Fortune 500 corporate, you got to reset your expectations a little bit if you're day one on the job. I'm not going to give you a trophy just for showing up, right? It's just, right? You got to reset a little bit. You got to understand everybody wants that job. Everybody's working hard. You got to work a little harder. Everything that you're asked to do is an opportunity to show how hard you're willing to work, an opportunity to show how well you can deliver. Take ownership of what you've been given and see it through to the end. Look, I'm not smarter than anybody. I'm not, I work hard, right? And everybody I work with works hard, and that's how they get there, without the expectation of a trophy at the end of the day.
We've done some research on you,
Okay.
and a friend of yours, who rented a room after you did, and you left something in this room.
I did.
And they didn't know what it was, but it had life significance, and it actually stuck with this person. It was a Post-it note that said Thiege on it.
Thiege, that's right.
Thiege.
Thiege.
Can you tell us about Thiege?
That is not Thiege, Matt. That is the edge. So I was unemployed. It was before I worked for Price Waterhouse. I was the 2 greedy a-holes said, you're out, and so I was out of work, which at age 22, 23 is very hard. So this apartment I lived in, I had this shelf like right over the bed. So when you opened your eyes in the morning, the first thing you would see is this shelf. And so I took that sticky, I wrote The Edge on it, and I stuck it to the shelf. And every morning, as soon as I opened my eyes, I saw the edge. And what that was to me was a reminder that I got an edge over everybody else. You might be smarter than me, you might be better looking than me, you might have got better grades than me, but you are not going to outwork me. I'm going to work harder than you, and my job right now is to find a job. And so I'd get out of bed every morning, I would put a suit on, even though I wasn't going anywhere. I'd get on the phone, I was calling headhunters, I was calling people I know, I was typing up resumes. It was just a reminder to say, look, work hard. That's the edge that you have, is your willingness to work hard. And so that's where that came from. So.
As an expert in data security, what is the most common mistake that people make with their personal information?
Oh man, I taught this to my little 11-year-old daughter. Don't click on the link. Like when you get that email with that big long link in it, says you've won an iPad, don't click on the link. That's probably the one thing I would do.
If you had to pick a totally different career path tomorrow, what would it be and why?
if I had to pick a totally different career path tomorrow, I would be a teacher. I love to teach, I love to learn, I love teaching other people, and honestly, that is something I'm very passionate about. One of the things I get to do at PwC that I really enjoy is train people and do presentations and teach and update, and I really enjoy that. And the reason I'm not a teacher today is because my father, my mother, and my sister are all teachers, and my father in particular, unfortunately, beat it into my head from a very early age that not to be a teacher. And I understand why he said that, but to this day I sort of regret. That's the one piece of advice he gave me that I probably regret not taking.
Last question, where do you get your best ideas from? What are you doing? What are the optimal conditions?
So the thing that I'm really passionate about, besides PwC, is cycling. I'm a very passionate cyclist, and I find that you know, when the day's been long, when the brain is clouded, when I need something, I need an idea, I need something. I find that if I hop on my bike and just go for a ride and just sort of let it, you know. And I think most people will tell you that, you know, if they have some outlet of some sort where they can focus on something else for a little while, the ideas start to flow, and so I think I've done some of my best thinking on my bicycle.
I want to thank you for your insight into sort of the corporate world. It's something that's very applicable to the work that we do because we're training the students who are going to be knocking on your door, sending you their resume in the very near future. So it's great to get a little bit more of an insight into what that world is like.
Thank you, Matt.
Now for the challenge, originally we were going to do cycling, all right, but we have some space constraints in the arena here. But we've heard in general you're a fitness kind of guru type of person. So I am going to challenge you. You want a push-up contest? No. I considered that. One better. To a bicep curling competition.
No,
okay. So Matt is going to bring us each out a 50-pound bicep weight. Matt, you can give Fred his. And it's the most that we can do in, I don't know, 30 seconds.
Really?
So, I mean, you know.
All right.
All right.
Seriously?
Yeah, I mean, I think. Yeah.
You want to go first?
No. Well, no. He's bringing me out mine right now. So.
Oh, come on!
They're both 50 pounds. Look.
Yeah, I see that. They're appropriately labeled.
They're both
yeah,
50
you got
pounds.
that.
So,
that's good.
All right.
Oh, you're gonna do yours one-handed?
Well, I mean, I could try to do two if you want.
You look like a cheater.
All right.
All right.
So, Matt, you have a timer for us? Most in 30 seconds here? He might have left.
I think he left.
Well, if somebody just keep... They're both 50 pounds.
Yeah, no, clearly they're labeled appropriately.
We got these from our friends at Recreation. This is the new slim model of the 50.
I see that.
It's just an illusion. All right.
It looks like a shake weight. Maybe you could...
That wouldn't end well for anyone. All right. So you ready? He's got us 30 seconds, the most we can do. Ready?
All right, yeah. Yeah, Hey, this is heavy. Hey, Tony! How about Rocky? Don't you guys have the Rocky music or something?
6, 7.
Oh, look at that. 30 seconds already. Dang, that went by fast.